Hello and welcome to 2023 Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend, the third place game. We've got Utah Wild versus San Francisco Falcons, and I'm Sheena Tidcombe. I'll be one of your commentators today. I'm joined by...
I'm Charlie Eide.
We're thrilled to be here and to be bringing you this third place game. Chidi, tell us a little bit, how did these two teams get here, and what's the bracket been like so far?
Well, after a hard-fought season, both these teams earned a place in championship weekend for the first time in their program's history. And they had some hard-fought games yesterday that were, very exciting to watch, going down, coming back up. Very exciting games, and, fighting for that third place spot, a little pride on the line in this last game or first game today on Sunday.
Yeah, the third place game, the podium is still a podium, and that's something that the Utah Wild coaches told us a little bit about today in sort of our pregame chat. Fantastic moments of brilliance, and then also moments of heartbreak yesterday too. But nonetheless, we're here today. There's a couple key players to watch. Chidi, who are we going to be watching for in terms of Utah Wild?
Well, on Utah Wild, we're going to really be watching for Molly Robbins. She's a big player on defense. Yesterday, just won Defensive Player of the Year. Getting those big smackdown Ds all over the place. We saw some of that yesterday, and I got to chat with her a little bit during the halftime, and just to see her excitement to get out there and play defense, to keep these games exciting, and to be a big part of that Wild defensive energy that I think they've really started to become known for in this league.
Yeah, she is absolutely a menace downfield and especially in the air. Super fun to watch. Number 8, you're going to see her flying all around the field today.
Yeah, watch for that big ponytail flying through. You'll see it.
And speaking a little bit about the San Francisco Falcons side, a really important player for them is Jacqueline Wetaoka. We were thrilled to watch her today. Yesterday we got to see a bit of her brilliance, just a little bit, and today we know that's going to be on full display. She's a player that plays on the D-line, and she's a handler, and she does a really nice job, I think, of moving the disc with poise and using her fakes really effectively to move the mark, move poaches, and then hit receivers right in the breadbasket. One thing that's really fun about this player is Wetaoka, played on Oregon Onyx last year and now plays on San Francisco Falcons. So she's actually a player that's, been part of a team that's been at championship weekend now, 2 years in a row. And I feel like she's a player that's like the future of this league. She's a little bit younger compared to some of the players on the field today, but she's absolutely, so amazing and really going to be a player to watch. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about the rules. So if you haven't played or haven't been watching the Western Ultimate League that much this year, just a few keynotes. The field is slightly bigger. It's got an 80 by 40 yards with 20-yard end zones. We play for time, so we have 4 12-minute quarters as opposed to playing to points. And then the clock stops when points are scored, except for the last 2 minutes of the quarter, when it stops for every call and when the disc is out of bounds. And then when quarter ends, the play continues actually until the current possession ends. So we really want to finish that offensive possession strong. And there's a lot of slight nuances that Chidi and I will get into as the game progresses. But we're really thrilled to be here. We'll be back in just a few moments. Thanks so much for being here.
Yes, I'm super excited.
July from Nottingham, England, the World Flying Disc Federation's World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. Live all-access coverage, including semis and finals, exclusively at ultiworld.com.
Being a member of the Castoro Cellars Wine Club is truly a unique experience. Not only do members get access to our best wines, they become part of our extended family and play a huge role in the way we run our business and make our wines. Being a member is fun, exciting, and informative. We work very hard to make sure our club members receive our best wines in their shipments, along with detailed information from our owners, winemaking team, and tasting room staff. There's never a shortage of entertainment at Castoro, and our members are always kept in the loop and taken great care of. From member-only events to Whale Rock Music and Arts Festival, our club encourages you to live life to the fullest. We invite all to join, from the wine connoisseur to the casual wine drinker. For us, it's about sharing our passion and love for making damn fine wine. Join the club and join the family today.
Hello and welcome to the 2023 Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend third place game presented by Discraft. My name is Chena Titcomb. I'm joined by
Charlie Eide.
So thrilled to be here to get a chance to watch this game and to experience this game with you. Before we get into the game that's happening here in front of us, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the league awards that were presented during yesterday's semifinals. Starting with Coach of the Year, San Diego Super Bloom, wonderful coaching staff. They have an incredible roster of contributors throughout the staff that have helped San Diego to its second championship weekend final.
And next we'll be talking about the breakout player of the year, Kez Giselle of the Arizona Sidewinders. An amazing player, really making a big impact this year, really standing out for the Sidewinders throughout the season.
Next up is Defensive Player of the Year, and we'll be talking a lot about number 8, Molly Robbins, in today's matchup. Expect to see her patrolling the skies, and we'll be able to identify her with her long ponytail as well, which will probably give us a chance up in the booth to see just how windy it is.
And our Offensive Player of the Year, also of the Utah Wild, Paige Kircher, an amazing handler for this team, just racking up the stats, putting so many yards downfield for this team, and really doing work. I'm sure we'll see Paige hitting some deep shots, getting open up line, and doing a lot of work for Wild in this game.
And MVP, Kayla Helton from the San Diego Super Bloom. We saw Kayla play amazing in yesterday's semifinal matchup, and we expect great things as well from her later today. But she's a player with a lot of different aspects to her game. You can't really put her in her box. She's a great defensive player. She's a great offensive player. She can throw deep. She can throw break throws. She's a handler. She's a cutter. She can do it all. And so I think that's why, to me, she is a very clear winner here of the most valuable player in the league right now.
And our Trailblazer Award was awarded to Felicia Yang, the WUL founder and executive director, plays with Astra, and Felicia's just been so instrumental in creating this league, creating these opportunities and this visibility for these players. Just an amazing person to have doing all this work, and we are also lucky for everything that she has done. Very well deserved Trailblazer Award to Felicia Yang.
Yeah, so thrilled that this award exists. I think it's really important to highlight how much work and effort Felicia puts into the league, and of course there's so many people that make this league possible and that make this weekend possible, and so obviously there's only one award that we're awarding today, but deep appreciation for all the volunteers and even the folks in the background, the staff that make it all happen, and Felicia is definitely our leader. We appreciate you, Felicia. And now we get to talk a little bit about the game in front of us. So we are here in Seattle, Washington, and one thing that I will say is we're here in Memorial Stadium, which is in downtown Seattle, and there's going to be moments where you'll get a chance to see the Space Needle behind the play. But one thing that is really interesting about this location is that it's kind of a bowl in terms of how the wind interacts with the disc on the field. It's going to be an interesting thing for us to watch. Charlie and I were down on the field earlier, and it's pretty windy down there. We're in the stands, and so it doesn't affect us too much up here, but it's windy, and so you'll see even on your screen there's some flags there. Periodically throughout the game, keep an eye on those flags. That'll kind of tell us a little bit about the conditions as we see it. The two teams have done their introductions and sort of have been presented. They're in their last huddle before the poll goes up. San Francisco won the flip and is choosing to start on defense, and they're going to be pulling from the right of your screen towards the left. So they're actually going to be pulling from the upwind side, so that Utah Wild has to start going upwind.
Yeah, interesting decision to start on defense in this game. Maybe they're thinking about the wind conditions, maybe trying to put Wild's O-line on the spot just right to start this game. Interesting to see what they'll come out here on this first D point.
And, you know, San Francisco, I spoke to Coach Manisha Dariani earlier this morning. You know, they're very excited to be here this year. This is their first time at championship weekend, but she was the first one to remind me, hey, you know, last year they were just 1 point away from making it. And so they're a team that's been building and growing. They're obviously excited to be here. And for her, you know, this game is important because it's, you know, this program is one that is important to invest in, and they are a strong team that's, you know, they're planning to be here for years to come. And so I thought that was really powerful just to hear from Manisha just about that concept. And she said her team is really thrilled to play against the Utah Wild. They lost by 1 point to Utah earlier this season, and so they're pumped about this matchup. And this is our first chance to see the Utah Wild's offensive line. Kircher to Songer.
And it looked like they had maybe a little stunt on defense to start, some switching around, guarding the back of the stack, but now kind of tight person. I was curious to see what their D would look like.
Yeah, Crisp getting their first touches of the game. They weren't playing in yesterday's matchup, but already having a big impact here in the very first point. Kircher to Cogburn.
Oh, City reels it in.
Songer. Crisp going deep, and Songer will hit them. Great throw into that upwind space.
And, you know, I think yesterday, Q, we were both maybe talking about how we were thinking that Utah maybe would have thrown some more of those deep shots, and it's cool to see they're already taking one first point of this game. I think we love to see that from them. It's definitely one of their strengths.
Big around throw there from Cogburn, trying to hit Bigham, but a nice defensive block there from Stepanidis. Just gets in front of Bigham and makes the play.
Yeah, anticipating that throw.
And Wetaoka starting with the disc on that far sideline to Munson.
Wild setting up a zone after a turn here with their O-line. It's kind of fun.
Quick movement from San Francisco. I really love how fast they got it off the line. And Wynn trying to hit Stepanidis, but that throw a little bit in front of Stepanidis. I don't think they thought that it was coming. Utah attacks immediately the other direction. Stoller up to Stanislawski. Back to Songer. Utah finding their shape a little bit right now. Crisp to Songer. This is that nice patient offense that we've grown to expect and know from the Utah Wild. A little bit of a spooky moment there, but Stanislawska comes down with it.
Looks like maybe got lost in the sun or something.
Yeah, and the wind. I think that also we saw the first time when the wind really had an impact on that throw. Songer.
Oh.
Crisp.
Unfortunate little bobble.
Yeah, we've seen that actually a couple times this weekend. You know, these are players that you sort of don't expect to have those kind of errors, but sometimes when you're catching the disc, you're already thinking about the next look. Wetaoka looking to stretch the field deep, and that throw just tails out of bounds. The disc is actually going to come back all the way at that front cone.
Maybe give Wild a chance to really set up their end zone and run it the way they want to this time.
Yeah, unfortunate shape of that throw. It just didn't come back in bounds.
Yeah, that was tough.
Songer. Around to Kircher. Cogburn was isolated in space, but they do some nice give-go action here. Kircher to Bigham. Cogburn. Bigham is open up line, but a really nice poach instead causes Cogburn to go around to Stanislawski.
Yes, and I like the way that Jen still fakes that upline pass. I think a lot of the defense really moved in reaction to that, which really opened up the inside. I see throwers sometimes not really fake that, and it makes the other options not as open. So that was really good mechanics and fundamentals from Cogburn. Oh, here, we'll get to see the fake again. Whoop.
So smooth.
And, you know, it really doesn't take much. You know, it wasn't a huge, big fake or anything, but the whole defense will react and give you some extra space at the front of the end zone.
Yeah, I think the Falcons probably will be trying to take away that upline look, because I think Utah Wild look most dangerous when they're attacking up line and then the handler throwing a deep pass with that momentum.
Yes, and I did notice a lot of their outlets were coming from the front of the stack, you know, because those handlers were committing to the upline and clearing space for the next player to come in.
Fun to see such a clean end zone set in the beginning of the game.
Yes, that was nice.
Especially in that upwind end zone.
Oh, and we'll see some more of these rolly pulls. I think Wild is doing that quite a bit yesterday, and looks like they're already starting in that set today, trying to trap this team on the sideline, play a little bit of a shorter field defense, get everybody set up.
And it works. Just like yesterday's first point of the game, Utah Wild got a turn off the very first throw against San Diego. And we have Aragon with a big hit looking for Molly Robbins. And it looks like the wind just kind of pushed that down a little bit.
And I do notice that the way the stadium is here, like Gina mentioned earlier, this bowl setting, the stands end right at about the end zone. So the wind does change as the disc gets into that end zone space, and it becomes difficult to read.
Over the top throw from Pugh, finding a popper. We've got Hammer up to Ting. Utah was a little bit into a junk set. Looks like they're going to stay in it despite San Francisco making some progress.
Transitioning into person now.
Big flick huck from Hammer to Pugh. Really nice cut. Pugh came from the handler side, far side in the handler space, all the way into that deep pocket of the end zone, scoring in actually the back half of the end zone. So I feel like it's a space that's a bit underutilized.
Absolutely. And I really like here, maybe, I'm not sure, we might see a replay. Hammer gives a little point.
As they're throwing it?
Yes, when they notice that player is open. They're like, yes, you are, and I'm going to throw it right here. Go!
Yes. And what I really liked there was, Maru had a really nice moment where she sort of let the defense move past her and then found Hammer in the middle of the field, and that was a really showed some great patience in a moment of transition.
Yeah, sometimes that's like the dance of the offense, waiting for the right time. So beautiful.
So smooth going so far in this game. Couple of turns, but overall pretty short points, which, to be honest, I wasn't really sure what it would be like given how windy it is down there. Kircher with a disc, out to Crisp. Stanislawski. Bigham with a really nice undercut there. Big fakes around to Kircher. Great mark by Munson to take away that initial round.
Yeah, and forcing a loss of yards on the reset.
Yeah, Terpstra with the disc.
Still going backwards.
To Kircher. Around to Burkett. And just off the fingertips.
That's tough.
Quick movement here immediately from San Francisco. I like the pace that they're playing at.
Yeah, really taking advantage of the Wild being on their heels, not letting them set up their defense and getting the disc moving.
Chang up to Mankoff, back to Chang. Chang so deadly as a lefty. He's able to hit so many spots on the field. Wataoka up to Mankoff, back to Chang. Munson's got it now, back to Wataoka. Looks like there is a pick call in the middle of the field, but Wataoka remains unmarked.
Yeah, I think the pick happened maybe a throw ago, and so that's why
Wataoka was open.
Yes.
Got it. Yep.
I know. I didn't see the pick happen either, so I had to track back. I do like this patience here from San Francisco, which I think can be challenging sometimes when you're the D-line out there playing offense.
Yeah, I like the pace.
Wow.
And Chang's throw was, I think, a little bit pushed down by the wind, trying to have a low release to have a lot of zip on it, but that one pushed into the ground. Kircher picks up a nice upwind flick huck.
And those, again, I love seeing those deep shots from Wild.
Yeah, nice catch by Williams. She resets back to Kircher, up to Terpstra.
Oh.
Williams again with a really nice S-cut almost.
Keeps it in bounds.
And jumps over our wonderful signs in the back of the end zone as well. Got to be careful because there's asphalt immediately, but really nice concentration from Williams to bring that one in.
I love the cut too after dishing it back, kind of using one of those, it's almost, they say like don't make banana cuts, but this is one where she kind of like bananas into the middle to get to the D there and then just uses her momentum to swirl back into the deep space. And I think, sometimes the banana cut isn't bad.
Yeah, and I think this is a moment also where we see sort of Paige Kircher on full display with two really nice hucks to get this offensive, movement
just from
flowing.
A standstill on that forehand.
Yes, she's got a lot of power for sure. And Williams already showing that she's a big receiver for the Utah Wild, and something that the San Francisco Falcons will need to figure out how do we contain this person?
Yeah, Wild has a lot of those. How are we going to contain them?
So it's a sign of a great team.
Absolutely.
When you say that about multiple players. Broom with the disc, Pugh back to Broom.
And
So
I think this like containment strategy is maybe like, this little zony kind of looks. Like we see Wild doing that. We saw Falcons coming out with like something a little bit poachy.
Maru up to Broom, a little bit in traffic, but secures the pass. Looking for Ting, and that's a really nice throw right into the breadbasket. The two defenders, the mark and the defender on Ting, seemed like they were taking away the same space as opposed to working together. And a nice moment where Ting was then open, kind of on the break side.
Yeah, and the rest of the team, holding that stack in the middle, trusting that the space once given to one player is going to work for everyone on the team. And I think that was our first clean hold of the game. No turns on that point. Maybe everyone's settling in a little bit. Yes, totally isolated. So nice to see.
Yeah, and both, we've actually seen a number of points now in that what I would say is the upwind end zone, which is interesting because I sometimes feel that it's almost easier to score upwind than downwind at moments.
I agree. I think once it gets to a certain point with the wind, the downwind is very tricky to dial in, but throwing into wind, just spin it and throw it hard and low.
Yeah. We have Songer up to Stanislawski. Cogburn looking for Stoller, but a little bit of confusion downfield, so has to reset it to Stanislawski, up to Kircher. Perquette. Williams back to Cogburn. Some good movement, some good, switching from the San Francisco defense here.
And maybe a little bit of a forced middle?
Yeah, it looks like a forced middle, and I'm curious if they're going to stay forced middle all the way into the end zone, but we won't get a chance to get that answer because Utah Wild turned that one over on a high release backhand.
And, I think the way the mark comes in there and switches to forcing middle, the thrower has to react and try to get it higher or over them, and I think that led to the turnover for the Falcons.
Big huck goes up, Wynn comes down with it, back to Stepanidis. Just playing some quick give-go. Wynn looking for Chang, who had the really nice throw to get all that movement even started. Stall count rising, has to throw it, and looks like there is a stall called. And something that I thought was interesting, with yesterday's games is that I feel like there were not too many stall calls.
Yeah,
and
I don't recall any.
There might have been one, at least in the Seattle Tempest versus San Francisco Falcons game, but I was a little bit surprised only in that I think there's been a lot of conversation around the length of the stall call. We're getting a chance to hear what's happening on the field here. Looks like it's going to be a contested stall.
So it's just standing as a turnover.
Just standing as a turnover. So what I was saying before is that it felt like last year there was a lot more stall calls. I think players were still getting used to that 7-second stall count. And so far this weekend, the fact that we haven't seen that many, to me, indicates that the players have gotten a little bit more used to that pace of the game because it moves faster than 10 seconds.
Yes, I think even earlier in this season, seeing a lot more of those stall calls.
So the Utah Wild do a nice job playing team defense to cause that stall to happen, get the disc back. We got Stoller and Kircher working together up to Perquette. Back to Kircher. And I believe that the San Francisco D is back into an FM. You can sort of hear the sideline yelling home and away to indicate to the mark which direction they should be forcing to. Songer with a big fake. Finds Cogburn, looking for continuation downfield. Finds it in Stoller. Great movement here from Utah. Beautiful around
another one, yes.
the forehand from Kircher to who else but Williams, who's already having themselves quite a game.
And, you know, talking about that FM defense, we noticed that Wild was really taking advantage of those insides that can tend to be a little bit more open once the mark is like switching, and then getting off an early around break once you've swung it out to the sideline to kind of keep the disc ahead of the D and not allow them to keep switching up the force on you.
Yeah, and this is why Kircher is the offensive player of the year, because you see the amount of spin and snap she can get on this throw. That's a break forehand. She's throwing that around the mark. And yes, you know, Munson isn't getting into position quite quick enough, but I bet you that she's not going to make that mistake again, and they're going to try their best to clamp down on Kircher.
And, you know, to most throwers, that mark coming in, just getting close is going to be enough to take away that around forehand. That is a very challenging throw, but, you know, not for Paige Kircher.
That's right. She's just so lethal with a disc in her hand.
And really does just make it look easy when you go out there and try it yourself. You're like, oh, dang, that's hard.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't see that and think to myself, yeah, I can do that. No, I see that and think to myself, I can't do that. San Francisco offense here. Broom up to Maru. Nice early throw from Maru to hammer. Big yardage gainer. Around to Ting. Broom. Utah just in a person set here. Ting to Maru. Up to Saltzman, looking for a reset. Elects to go deep, has Hammer in the back of that end zone, and it's a beautiful throw. Wow.
You know, it's funny, Chino, you're like, it's an underutilized space back there, and then I think our last 3 goals have been back there. But teams making full advantage of that deep end zone.
Yeah, and a really nice shot. I mean, that's essentially a 40, 45-yard upwind backhand. We'll get a chance to see it again here.
And some pretty like physical defense from Wild there, but Falcons just, you know, not being bothered at all and taking their space and taking their shots.
And you can't quite see it on that replay, but, you know, I don't think Hammer was necessarily cutting there. They were just sort of waiting patiently in space for the next cut. But the disc goes up and they have awareness to know, oh, that's for me. And all I have to do is take a few steps, and I can get it. All smiles here for the San Francisco Falcons. Tight game. We're tied at 3s with just 2 minutes left in this first quarter. No team has been able to secure a break quite yet. Songer to Crisp. Falcons coming down in a zone look.
It looks like Kat just maybe lost the disc or something and was unable to reel it in.
Wataoka up to Chang.
Looks like maybe a call or just some confusion. Oh, a foul call, but caught anyway, so.
Yeah, it seemed like Chang, well, I'd have to see a replay. But initially, I thought that maybe Chang was expecting contact, but we'll hear. Retracted call, no call.
I agree. To me, it looked like maybe just a little bit surprised by the presence of Kircher and not really necessarily meaning to call foul, but more just, oh, you were there and I didn't realize it.
Yeah, and I think also in some of those moments, you know, you expect, like you think contact is coming, so you brace for it, and then it doesn't come, or it does come later than you think, and it's just, it's a lot all at once.
Yes.
We got Chang looking for Munson, and I couldn't tell if Crisp got a hand on that or not.
I think so. I think got their hand in there and swatted it.
Crisp to Kircher. Big backhand around. Really nice save there from Terpstra.
Yes, very heads up.
Up to Crisp. To Kircher. You know, only a minute left in this quarter, but Utah Wild content to keep swinging the disc against this somewhat soft zone, I'd say, from San Francisco.
I was also going to make a comment about that. It's hard to tell, is it a zone, or are they just poaching? But very clearly players trying to lock down a couple different spaces, passing off when the disc moves, who they're taking next. So definitely some soft zone, maybe like a 2-3-2 or something.
Terpstra up to Cogburn, who's using their hands quite a bit to tell people where to go. Bigham.
You know I love that.
Yeah, I love that too. So clear. Songer secures the catch this time, makes sure he gets both hands on it.
And
over to
the whole
Terpstra.
body behind the disc too. Love that.
Just chewing away at the clock here from Utah. I think it'll be really important for them to put this one in because their offense has been working so hard. They haven't gained a ton of yards yet.
Oh. Looks like we'll have a call on this play.
Cogburn and Wataoka there involved in the play.
Looks like we're going to listen in a little bit as to the conversation on the field. Oh, it's a foul, no contest. You know, those are tricky situations, especially like if it's zone or something. Those players are coming from different places on the field, and depending on when the contact happens, if it affects the catch, then it's a foul.
Cogburn around to Kircher. And
wow.
I don't know how many bobbles that was, but Cogburn with the concentration there.
Yes, Cogburn will stay focused and catch those bobbly discs.
Crisp.
Oh.
And Wynn there involved in the play. And so if you noticed, right, you know, two throws before that, you might have heard the horn in the background. And you see at the top left of your screen, the time is at 0. And so this is the final possession of the quarter. And so Utah either scores this or the quarter is over. So either way, San Francisco does not get an offensive possession. There's some conversation here as to whether or not Wynn got the disc first and it was a strip or not.
I feel like this is one of those situations where one player was going for the clap catch and another player was trying to snatch it with their hand. And those are always kind of who got it first. When did you stop rotation of the disc?
And looks like they went to the observer and it was, you know, overruled. And Crisp gets to keep possession of the disc. Conversation downfield, looks like there's some contact between Cogburn and Wataoka. And a foul call stops play for them to discuss what's occurring. And, you know, I don't know, there's sort of two thoughts here on whether or not you should stop play to talk about contact downfield or not. What do you think?
I think the way that I usually feel about that situation is if it's the first time, you know, maybe I'll talk to a player on the sideline about it. But if it's repeatedly happening, I feel like sometimes making the call in order to set the tone of what's appropriate contact.
Yeah, and I also feel, I think it's hard to have those conversations on the sideline. You know, as a player, I'd much rather like have it on the field. If it's a call, if it's contact, like it should be a call on the field.
You're totally right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it is like, why are you talking to me about this now? Call it.
Yeah.
If it's a foul.
if it's a foul.
For sure. I think it's a tricky situation sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunate drop there from Songer after Utah had spent a full 2 minutes on that offensive push, but 3-3 tied at the end of the first quarter. This is a third place game between San Francisco and the Utah Wild. We'll be right back.
Being a member of the Castaro Cellars Wine Club is truly a unique experience. Not only do members get access to our best wines, they become part of our extended family and play a huge role in the way we run our business and make our wines. Being a member is fun, exciting, and informative. We work very hard to make sure our club members receive our best wines in their shipments, along with detailed information from our owners, winemaking team, and tasting room staff. There's never a shortage of entertainment at Castoro, and our members are always kept in the loop and taken great care of. From member-only events to Whale Rock Music and Arts Festival, our club encourages you to live life to the fullest. We invite all to join, from the wine connoisseur to the casual wine drinker. For us, it's about sharing our passion and love for making damn fine wine. Join the club and join the family today.
Hello and welcome back to the 2023 Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend third place game presented by Discraft. I'm Chena Titcomb, joined by
Charlie Eide.
We're having a great game so far, tied at threes between the Utah Wild and San Francisco Falcons. We're going to get underway in just a moment here, but Chidi, kind of what's your feeling at the end of this first quarter? What are some of your thoughts?
I am excited to see all these teams like holding out. You know, I think we've been in those games ourselves where the holds are feeling super important and we're just hungry for those breaks. And so I'm really enjoying that energy out here for this game. And as much as I want to see some teams getting breaks, I also enjoy this feeling of a tight game. The holds are happening. And, you know, it's the type of game I was hoping to see today.
Yeah, and I think really fun to watch these two teams battle it out after some heartbreaking losses yesterday, where I think we saw moments for each of these teams of their potential against their opponents, and then moments of heartbreak or sort of miscues and drops. And really cool to see them meet the moment of this third place game. You know, somebody might brush it off or someone might not think it's important, but to these players, it's very important, and this game matters a lot to them.
And we see another one of those rolling pulls from Wild.
They got a turn out of it in the very first point. Let's see if they can get another turn out of it right here. I personally like it a lot. Pugh looking for Broom.
Oh, and taking that deep shot right away.
Big Huck looking for Schumacher in the back of the end zone. Beautiful inside-out backhand into that downwind end zone.
Right. I was going to say I love the shape on that throw. And also, we haven't seen any goals in this end zone yet, you know, now that we switched sides for the quarter. So it is interesting to see how teams are now going to be attacking this different end zone.
Pugh does a nice job getting it off the sideline, and just a really nice inside-out backhand. You see when they release that disc, there's so much edge on it.
And I didn't notice in real time the way the receiver moves the hat.
Yeah.
Gets the hat out of the way so that we
Get
can really
here.
see that disc. Sort of love that. And again, the forehand fake, you know, it's not much, but that defender wraps all the way around the mark so that the inside throw is open.
Oh, I love this also when our camera folks can get, you know, a shot of the thrower and the receiver.
Smiling a little bit.
Yeah, smile, all in one shot. Love that. Those are great moments. Utah starting on offense now. Songer to Kircher, back to Songer. Stoller making a cut downfield, but San Francisco doing a nice job of bracketing in that backfield. Terpstra elevates for that grab. Back to Kircher. Stoller has to slightly adjust their cut to make that catch, but is able to do so. Up to Songer, who found themselves upfield.
Ooh, a little out of reach.
A little out of reach for Bigham. I wonder if the you know, wind had anything to do with that one.
Or just, again, offense now attacking a different direction, so having to calibrate the offense to go a different way in the wind now.
Chang to Wataoka.
I loved that forehand. Loop. Oh, but it didn't quite hit the receiver. Instead found the wrong person.
Yeah, Perquette gets on the stat line there with that block. Kircher up to Perquette, and Stoller beats her defender to that front cone.
Not a very big window there. The defense was tight, but the thrower hitting that tight space at the front cone, and that's really all you need.
Yeah, a bit of a horizontal cut there from Stoller, but it actually works out really well. And it is an easy window for the thrower to hit.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's another one of those like breakable rules about horizontal cuts, especially here at the front of the end zone when we're in a tight space. We don't need to open up a very big window for these talented throwers to hit the end zone goal.
Stoller, I feel like a little bit of an unsung hero for this Utah Wild team. This entire season has been doing a lot of work downfield for the O-line and isn't always going to show up on the stat sheet or in the sort of throwing and receiving yards, but is doing sort of the dirty work to make it all happen. We've got San Francisco's O-line back out there. We're tied at 4s. Who is going to, get the first break here? Pugh to Broom. Horizontal set here from San Francisco Falcons. Lots of space downfield. Pugh.
Wow, that was a great D. And
wow, yeah,
one of those upline cuts where the defender was really close, and I think, us watching maybe all were kind of like, are you going to dive and get it? And
yeah, Shortall with a really nice layout block.
That was huge, really making a statement about, again, Wild known for their aggressive defense and coming out here and getting blocks.
Schelke to Robbins, and Robbins trying to hit Atwell, but that throw just a little too high, has enough time to hang. Pugh picks up another chance for this San Francisco O-line to get the hold. We have Maru up to Hammer. Hammer, big backhand. It's got a couple of receivers. A little bit of confusion there who is going for it, but ultimately it's a turnover. And Utah gives it right back. First multi-turn point we've seen, I think, so far.
Yes, maybe a little bit of that chaotic energy when they're coming out on defense, being aggressive like that. Sometimes it can translate to a little chaos on the offense.
Hammer to Maru. Up to Pugh. Another big inside-out backhand, and it might have worked, but Molly Robbins just peels off her defensive assignment and makes sure that Hammer cannot get that one.
Yeah, Molly Robbins is hunting out there on defense. You got to watch out.
Really nice around backhand there from Atwell, but it hangs just a little too much for Wallen to secure. We have Ting picking up the disc. Throws the around to Broom, who'd actually stopped cutting, and so wasn't able to make that one happen.
And the offense deciding to get the ball moving quickly and start attacking downfield.
Shortall with the disc gets a little bit of a bump from behind, and I actually like that stoppage because she did get impacted. She was potentially going to throw, and then she got bumped.
Yes. And I think another one of those situations where a little settling on the offense might have been a good idea.
Yeah.
But we see another turnover.
Ting. Pugh does a nice job of gaining yards as she was open. Around to Ting. Back to Broom. This feels like a really important point for San Francisco as it becomes, truly the first multi-turn point that we've had. Aragon, deep huck, looking for Wallen, and it just dropped all of a sudden. Wallen wasn't able to make the catch. Ting to Pugh. Back to Ting.
And some more quick transition on the offense. All these offenses are really trying to punch this point in, like you said. Feels very important. Especially now after taking all this time.
Yeah, and something that's, I think, as the point goes on, becomes more and more important for San Francisco's offensive line to hold here is that, otherwise they have to go right back out there.
Right.
And so the fact that they scored that is just so important because the D-line can then
take their turn,
get their own crack at it.
Yes, I think that's sometimes something we're not always thinking about as the viewer of how long this point took, and then if we get broken, the same O-line might have to go out there again. But I know at least like as players when we're out there feeling that, or like as coaches, it's like, yeah, spending a lot of time and getting broken is.
Yeah, we get a chance here to see that layout block from Utah that we really hoped was going to be the lead to the first break of the game. But look at this. Beautiful, beautiful block from Shortall.
Yes, we love to see that.
More
and
blocks.
Yeah, another block for Wallen. And then we have this goal for San Francisco finally punching in that hold that they really needed.
Utah, we've got Crisp centering to Songer.
And Falcons again coming out in their
Back to Crisp.
this zone-y type defense.
And I like it. It's causing the Utah Wild to have to kind of check twice before throwing and expend a lot of energy with fakes.
And, you know, especially a team that we know has like deep throws as a strength, some really strong handlers. Putting a zone is definitely going to slow down their movement, really pressure those handlers to make a lot more throws and passes, to stay perfect, and to take away those deep shots. We really haven't seen as many of those from Wild as we're used to. I'm not entirely sure, but Falcons might have gotten a hand on that, a little hand block, or maybe just a misthrow.
And Chang, I believe, picked that up, trying to hit Eliza Chang.
Yes.
And that one, it's funny, that throw almost looked like it was going downwind, even though that's the upwind end zone.
You know, I was noticing the flags are now going a different direction. I feel like the wind may have
switched on us.
Yes. and again, like you mentioned earlier, this bowl setting, the wind can do different things. And even from what we're feeling up here, it's probably entirely different on the field.
We just like to keep it exciting here in Seattle.
Yes,
you know, what
definitely.
can I say?
You know what? It's not raining, so.
Yeah, we're happy about that.
Yes.
Terpstra back to Crisp. Let's see if Utah can figure out the San Francisco zone. Something that's interesting is I think, you know, this zone yesterday was so effective against Seattle. They had a really hard time, you know, trying to figure out how to problem solve. As the throw goes up from Songer, looking for Stoller, but Mankoff has just been so good in the air this weekend. It'd be really hard to beat her in that space.
Yeah, you know, I think maybe just a little bit of, I don't want to say it wasn't very patient, but getting a little bit, just looking to try something else. You know, the handlers were working it, but not gaining very many yards, so sometimes you just have to try to test the deeper space.
When trying to hit that's not Munson, that is Wong in the deep space. But that throw were heavily impacted by the wind.
Yeah, and then we expect to see Wild trapped here again with this zone. And now they find that hole down the sideline.
Yeah, really nice throw there from Crisp up to Paquette, across to Stanislawski.
I love the way they went down the sideline and then around. That's definitely a good way to attack those zones, is to try to, again, like go around, go through, try different modes of attack.
Paquette up to Stoller, has an open Stanislawski, sees them, hits them, and just a nice backhand up the field to Songer. That's a hold
Another
for the
hold.
Utah Wild. I think one thing we're seeing is that teams are happy to hold in either direction.
Yes, right.
So maybe what we were saying at the beginning of, like, you know, one way is harder than the other, like maybe that's just not true. Maybe these players just, you know, they don't think that much about the win. They just go score goals.
Right. And still just hunting for those breaks out there. And I really like this throw. It was hard to see in that replay, but the players definitely made eye contact. Songer was attacking that space confidently. The defense had their back turned, and so the thrower just sort of put it up to their teammate, allowing them to finish the play. And you love to see that.
Tied at 5s here with just 3 minutes left in the first half. Couple standouts that I'm sort of seeing in terms of stats. We've got Terpstra from the Utah Wild that's had a couple goals and assists. And then on the Falcons side, you know, Kara Hammer has had a couple of goals and assists. Those are some players that are so far having themselves a game.
Yes. And so what do you think, Gina? Are we going to have a break in this half?
I hope so. I feel like, you know, of the two teams, who do I think is closer to a break? Like, I think that San Francisco is closer to getting themselves a break, because at the end of that first quarter, they caused Utah Wild to play offense for 2 whole minutes, and then Utah didn't even get the hold. So I think San Francisco has got to be feeling pretty good about where they're at. Of course, I hope for commentator's curse as that was just a turnover from the Falcons, and the Utah Wild get a chance to break right now.
Yeah, and an unfortunate around. Now, is that like a double commentator's curse?
I'm not sure. Maybe they just don't listen to us. It doesn't matter
Right,
anyways.
yeah, it doesn't matter. They're not listening. Oh, I thought the defender was going to get that. Looked like maybe they thought they did too, but.
Schumacher up to Hammer.
Oh, and then just confidently rips it out of the air and goes around
Schumacher
this big forehand.
Yeah, with a big
Wow.
round. I believe that is Amanda Maru with the goal.
And I think you could tell Schumacher was like playing that point with a vengeance or something, you know, really snagging that disc out of the air after making a super confident upline cut and then just looking immediately to that around space. It was a really nice play there. Some confident offense. Look at those fakes.
Yeah, Schumacher, you know, I think that there's so many players to highlight between these two teams. Let me be really clear. And I think as a commentator, it can feel really hard when you have to sort of choose one to talk about in the opening section, or you find yourself saying one name over another. But Schumacher is such an amazing cutter for San Francisco. And if you watch this season, any of the games that are available on the Western Ultimate League YouTube page, you'll get a chance to see just how important she is to the San Francisco Falcons. She just turns downfield, eats up yards, throws goals, catches goals. She can really do it all. Super fun player to watch.
And definitely go back and watch some of those YouTube games. You know, while I'm hanging out at home doing chores and stuff, there's plenty of games that I can watch, and they're all really exciting. And it's really cool that all that content is out there.
Yeah, it creates wonderful storylines, and it's a big reason why this league exists, to try to create more visibility, to try to bring more of a spotlight on these women and non-binary players that play in the league.
Yes, it is so great that all that content's out there.
Shout out also to Ulti World, who's here filming these games this weekend. We've got our awesome camera crew folks. We've got our production in the background. So many people that make this weekend happen. Couldn't do it without you. Observers, of course, you see them, you know, on the screen. Those are the ones that you actually get to see, but there's so much more behind the scenes happening too. So big shout out there.
And it looks like we had a stoppage from a pick and then maybe just some discussion about when the disc would be tapped back in. And now we have a violation. I think the pre-stall got us confused down there on the field.
Yeah.
Gina, you can probably explain that better than me.
Yeah, great. I'm happy to have this opportunity to talk about it. So pre-stall is essentially 4 seconds of time where there can be movement downfield after a call, and
but the stall hasn't started yet.
But the stall has not started yet, and the pre-stall is counted by the observer. So you'll see the observer behind the player counting down 4, 3, 2, 1, and then the disc is live.
And so players are allowed to move during that time, but the stall count doesn't start. And so I think maybe last time the player started stalling when it was supposed to be those 4 second stalls.
Yep. Songer over to Stanislawski, finds Bigham.
Which actually, when it's coming off of a stoppage, you kind of get 11 seconds to look at your offense and set something up.
Yeah, and I think one of the reasons for setting this pre-stall, and it's unique to the Western Ultimate League rule set, is, you know, to kind of take away those moments when, you know, when you're watching other forms of Ultimate, like, oh, well, you were here when the pick happened, or were we about here? And
yes.
It's like, no, those conversations are not really that important, but they slow the game down. And so the goal of that pre-stall is really to keep the play going, keep movement happening, so that the fans can be watching as much Ultimate as possible.
And I think it does make it a little bit more, I don't know, for lack of a better word, fair for the players as well. Because like you said, it's like, do we all really remember where exactly we were when this call happened? Like, we both know we're not always going exactly back where we were when those calls happened. So,
yeah.
You know, I think just allowing everyone to move for a few seconds is totally reasonable, and I love that aspect of the game, to be honest.
Yeah, I do too. It's super fun. And as a player, I think it just kind of eliminates some of that unnecessary conversation and confusion of, wait, where do I go and what's happening? So I really like that part of the rule set. And I hope that that other leagues out there and other forms of play sort of adopt something similar. I think that'd be super fun.
And meanwhile, Falcons knocking on the door of this first break.
Yeah, they're almost to the goal line. We've got Chang with the disc in hand.
Ooh, everyone in the same corner here. Kind of tough.
Wataoka.
Timeout.
The first timeout that we've had so far. I really like it. Just as you were saying, they were all kind of in one corner.
Slap's like, let's reset here. And, 14 seconds left. And, this is the opportunity for a break in this half. So really trying to take advantage and make sure they punch it in.
Yeah, use it or lose it type of situation, too.
Yes. And, I think we both know Falcons coach is, like, extremely experienced and knows what she's doing down there making these calls and stuff. But maybe not everyone at home knows that Slap has just been such a huge part of like the ultimate scene, especially on the West Coast for such a long time, and definitely going to be making those like veteran calls, like always thinking about every little moving piece.
Yeah. And to give just even more shout out, so Manisha Daryani, the coach, nicknamed Slap, she is the coach. She's the co-owner of the San Francisco Falcons. She's the representative for San Francisco on the Western Ultimate League board. I work with her on the rules committee. She's also the president of the board. So she is very involved in the Western Ultimate League and is an awesome human being. Super fun to get a chance to have her team be here this championship weekend. And also wanted to give a shout out to Sean Webb, who's the other coach as part of the San Francisco coaching staff. We know that they have put a ton of work into making this weekend possible, and a big shout out to them. I loved, I was on the sideline during yesterday's Seattle Tempest versus San Francisco Falcons game, and really fun to hear just how much information Coach Sean Webb was providing to his players from the sideline. Just really, great example of great coaching. Back to the action here. We've got Pugh over to Ting. Win. Really important point here for San Francisco. This would be for the first break of the game. Clock is almost at 0. We have Pugh. Now they're going to play out this possession, and unlikely throw from Pugh, but is caught by Win.
I thought Hammer caught it. I was not paying attention. That was wow.
Yeah, wow.
And especially once, time had expired, so it's like, okay, no matter what happens now, Wild is not going to have a chance to score this goal, so let's just take our time and work it in. I was not expecting that. And but Wynn must have been expecting it, because it really just went right to them. Just, yes, I will catch that.
Yes. Gives it a little hug. Bless. I caught it.
Yes, and that's a break.
That's a break for San Francisco. Really critical break going into halftime. They're up 7 versus 5. It's the San Francisco Falcons versus the Utah Wild in the 2023 Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend third place game presented by Discraft. It's an exciting game so far. Stick with us, please, because we've got a whole other half in front of us. And one of the awesome things that we get to do here as part of this broadcast is we get to hear from players themselves. And so we actually have Leah Smith, who's going to be down on the sideline and is getting a chance to talk to Jacqueline Wynn. And we're actually going to send it down to them, and they're going to get a chance to talk.
Francisco number 42, Jacqueline Wynn. Jacqueline, how's it feeling out there?
Feels great. I mean, it's the last day of the WUL, so we're really excited to all be here, play with our friends for one more time.
And it's been really interesting with the swirly wind. What are you seeing out there with your throws and playing, and how have you adjusted to that?
Yeah, the stadium is kind of tough. It's just like the wind is where you don't expect it to be. We've seen a lot of throws pop up and people dropping things we don't usually do, but we're here to just do our best out here.
It's great to hear, and you are playing great. And my last question is, what does it mean for you and the Falcons to make it to championship weekend and play in this third place game?
It's great. I mean, last year we didn't get a chance to make it here, so we're excited to be in the top 4, have a chance to win a championship. Unfortunately, we didn't play that well yesterday, but it's great to even beat seed. Like, we're coming in as an underdog, so we're just seeing what we can do as a team.
Love it. Well, thank you so much, Jacqueline Wynn. Good luck with the rest of the game. I'm going to throw it back to Charlie and Gina. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
Thanks so much, Leah and Jacqueline Wynn, for giving us some of your insights. Super fun to hear from the players themselves on the field. And stick with us. It's halftime of 2023 Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend third place game. We've got San Francisco Falcons that are up 7-5. We'll be right back.
July from Nottingham, England. The World Flying Disc Federation's World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. Live all-access coverage, including semis and finals, exclusively at ultiworld.com.
Being a member of the Castaro Cellars Wine Club is truly a unique experience. Not only do members get access to our best wines, they become part of our extended family and play a huge role in the way we run our business and make our wines. Being a member is fun, exciting, and informative. We work very hard to make sure our club members receive our best wines in their shipments, along with detailed information from our owners, winemaking team, and tasting room staff. There's never a shortage of entertainment at Castoro, and our members are always kept in the loop and taken great care of. From member-only events to Whale Rock Music and Arts Festival, our club encourages you to live life to the fullest. We invite all to join, from the wine connoisseur to the casual wine drinker. For us, it's about sharing our passion and love for making damn fine wine. Join the club and join the family today.
Hey there, we get a chance to actually hear from one other player that's out on the field today. We've got Leah Smith down on the sideline with Kat Songer. We're going to go to them right now.
My name's Leah Smith, and I'm here with Utah captain Kat Songer. Kat, how's it feeling out there right now?
It's feeling pretty good. You know, obviously there are a few things that I think we can clean up from the first half, but as a team, we're just so grateful to be out here playing in the beautiful weather and can't ask for anything else.
It is perfect out here. And it's a little bit swirly wind. We've seen definitely some momentum changes out there due to this wind. How are you adjusting to that?
I think as a team, we're just reminding each other that we are incredible athletes and we can get the disc. We have to keep that focus to follow it through the wind, and we've shown that we can do that, so we're just going to keep grinding this half.
Love it. And what does it mean for you and the Utah Wild to be at championship weekend and in this third place game?
It's just a celebration for us. You know, we didn't know what this season was going to have in store for us, and it's just been such a joy to play and to make it to the stage and to celebrate together as a team, our offensive player of the year, our defensive player of the year, and to just enjoy this together.
Thank you so much, Kat. We will be back for the second half of this game. Thank y'all so much.
Wow, really special there to hear from Kat Songer from the Utah Wild. Really appreciate getting the voices of these players on the broadcast. Really unique experience for you all, hopefully as fans, to get a chance to know the players a little bit more. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back for the second half. Stay tuned. Thanks so much.
Own a Utah vacation rental? Vacasa is your ultimate partner. Head to vacasa.com to see how Vacasa keeps your vacation home booked, cared for, and earning to its highest potential. We are thrilled to announce the official brewery of Utah Wild for 2023, Buildup Brewing. You can find us celebrating every Utah Wild game this year at this local brew pub. Their huge projector screen, great food menu, and award-winning beer make this a great home for our watch parties and after parties. Be wilder and head out over to Buildup Brewing right after this game for Wild's official after party. This venue is 21+. We'd like to highlight one of Utah Wild's sponsors, Strive and Uplift. Strive and Uplift provides lifting and running programming to Wild athletes. With their values of accessibility, support, growth, and service, Strive and Uplift is passionate about providing high-quality movement education and sports performance guidance in a supportive environment. Through cultivating community spaces for movement and connection, Strive and Uplift helps individuals of all abilities discover how to move confidently in their bodies. To learn more, visit striveanduplift.com. A huge thank you for being a sponsor of the Utah Wild. We'd like to shout out 3 of Utah Wild sponsors: Fort Lund at Physical Midvale, Handy and Handy Attorneys at Law, and We Win Injury Law. Their support of women and non-binary athletes helps make this season possible. For more information on these organizations, visit www.utahwildultimate.org/sponsors. Thank you all for sponsoring the Utah Wild.
Being a member of the Castoro Cellars Wine Club is truly a unique experience. Not only do members get access to our best wines, they become part of our extended family and play a huge role in the way we run our business and make our wines. Being a member is fun, exciting, and informative. We work very hard to make sure our club members receive our best wines in their shipments, along with detailed information from our owners, winemaking team, and tasting room staff. There's never a shortage of entertainment at Castoro, and our members are always kept in the loop and taken great care of. From member-only events to Whale Rock Music and Arts Festival, our club encourages you to live life to the fullest. We invite all to join, from the wine connoisseur to the casual wine drinker. For us, it's about sharing our passion and love for making damn fine wine. Join the club and join the family today.
Hello and welcome back to Seattle, Washington. We are here at the 2023 Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend third place game presented by Discraft. We've got San Francisco Falcons versus the Utah Wild. San Francisco is up 7-5. They have the only break in this game.
But both teams having plenty of chances to break so far, and I don't anticipate that to really change in the second half. So I really think that this is either team's game right now, and I think that's what we like to feel going into the second half. Both, there's only a 2 turnover difference in both of these teams, and Falcons do have the only clean holds, but at the same time, it really doesn't necessarily seem like either team is necessarily in control right now.
Yeah, still very much anyone's game. Kind of what Charlie was just saying is that there's the numbers in both columns that you see are pretty similar here. There's not a huge difference between the two, and I think if anything that just shows how strong these two teams are. And there's a reason they made it to championship weekend, right? Like, they've been able to put together a really strong season and have strong performances that put them in a place where they can have this moment and be part of this moment.
Absolutely.
We talked a little bit to Utah Wild's coaching staff before this game, and they talked a little bit about, this game still being very important to them. But podium is still a podium. There's only 2 teams this weekend that walk away with a win, and they want to be one of the teams that walk away with a win. And they're already really excited, even looking forward to next year. I was talking to Leah Smith as well, and she was saying, we've already got our practice fields, booked for next year. They're here for the long haul, and they're planning and scheming, and this game really means a lot to them.
And that, I think, is really just what we have been wanting and dreaming of for such a long time. For a while it was like, oh, this is just going to be a showcase game showcasing women and non-binary players, or when is this going to be happening again? And now we already have programs established, scheduling their practice fields, looking forward to next year and the year after that and the year after that, and really establishing a program with this league is so inspiring and really cool to see come to fruition through these teams and these players and everyone involved.
Yeah, and Utah, I feel like, do a really nice job. They pull talent from so many different states across the western part of the United States, and it's fun to see them really be on this stage when they have limited opportunities to get together as a full squad. They have a number of more pod-like practices where pieces of the team get a chance to develop chemistry, but not necessarily all together all at once.
And we see them out here starting on offense.
Yeah, nice movement to get started. Here,
pick called
downfield, but
and it sounds like Falcons are doing their FM, their forced middle again. You can hear them hollering home and away, and see the marking switch force. But I like the way that Wild is cycling through those looks and then getting the front of the stack involved. Here, Cogburn making that cut from the front.
Yeah, Crisp hits Cogburn, but just off the fingertips and falls gently to the turf. We've got Munson picking up the disc, looking for Chang, an immediate pick call as Terpstra, who was guarding Chang, ran into Stanislawski, but a little bit of conversation as to whether or not she was close enough.
It is hard to tell, I think, from the offense's perspective, who was actually guarding Chang, and therefore were you picked, because both of those defenders were in the area. Someone was poaching off, and you know, if you're poaching off of somebody else and you're not allowed to switch onto a poach, that's not exactly a pick.
Right, right. Chang a little bit frustrated, and San Francisco, you know, sort of doesn't have the opportunity then to fast break. So instead,
right,
they set. Now they get going. They've got Chang on that far side, up to Stepanidis.
And another pick.
Another pick. Disc will remain with Stepanidis.
And, you know, picks become very common in Ultimate, but if you're not familiar when you're defending someone and they take you into the body of someone else, or you have to change paths to avoid that, you know, like a screen situation in basketball or something like that, it can become dangerous in Ultimate, so it's not allowed.
Big huck there from the Falcons. Stanislawski was in the area, but a really nice catch. That Sam loop in the back of that end zone.
And that's a break.
And that's a break, and that's a big celebration from San Francisco Falcons, who start the half with a break. Love to see it.
Yeah, really setting the tone in the second half.
And I want to see who threw that. We'll get a chance to see it in just a second. We have Stepanidis, who finds, oh, looks
Wong.
like yeah, Wong with a really nice backhand. And Stanislawski is just there. You know, in fact, I think she almost touches it in that replay.
Yeah, it does look like the disc wobbles a bit, maybe gets her fingernails on that disc.
Wow, and what felt like, you know, 5-7, not that far away, but that break immediately coming out of half in what we think is now the upwind end zone. Although, is it downwind? If we get a chance to find the shot, there's two flags. There's flags in the stands, and then there's flags that are right above the scoreboard. And the two flags are actually going in different directions, so it's really hard to tell exactly, you know, which way the wind is blowing right now. Songer picks up. Stanislawski back out there.
And again, making that cut from the front of the stack, I think utilizing those outlets from the front of the stack has been so far very helpful for Wild to take advantage of in this forced middle defense. And here comes Kat from the front of the stack, or Songer from the front of the stack.
Kircher to Songer, up to Stanislawski. The throw hung for a second, giving the defense a chance to even get involved in the play, but ultimately Utah Wild with the hold there.
And that was a nice quick hold. They really needed that to punch in a point for the second half, you know, right away, not wasting any time, and making sure that that was a nice catch there by Stanislawski.
Yeah, and we'll see here, the Utah Wild now get to put out their D-line and see if they can apply some pressure to San Francisco. And we'll see, you know, I'm curious if they have a, if they set a zone or if they go straight person. I'm going to guess right now, based on who's pulling, that they will not do one of those roller pulls, given that Aragon is pulling. But I love to be wrong.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right.
Big pull here from Aragon.
Just pulled it straight down the middle.
Yeah, nice pull, beautiful pull.
Yeah, plenty of hang time, too,
Lots
so they can get
time.
set up.
Yeah. Pugh picks up, finds Broom. Trying to isolate Hammer in the middle, but ultimately finds Saltzman.
And they started in a little bit of a loose, like, poachy handler set, to, I think, to try to encourage movement over there to that sideline, where now they're setting up those trap marks.
Schumacher with a disc. Back to Hammer. Broom. You know somebody is important when you're asking Molly Robbins to guard them. That means
yes,
that's their a key threat. And Schumacher really shows us why she's such a threat with that assist.
Yeah, and just some nice patience, looking through their options, taking their time, but at the same time, punching it in clean, and another quick hold.
Yeah, so Charlie, I think there's at least 3 lefties on the San Francisco Falcons. We've got Chang, and then we have Schumacher and Ting. So those are 3 lefties.
Yeah, and Schumacher actually threw that goal with her offhand.
Right. Yeah, she threw that righty. Fun fact, actually, Schumacher is right-handed, but has had some shoulder issues, and so Coach Manisha Dariani was telling us that she started playing lefty, and now she's a lefty.
Well, that's handy.
Yeah, I guess when you're that good, you can just do both.
Right?
But yeah, 3 lefties on the San Francisco Falcons roster. What are some of your thoughts about that in terms of how you defended and kind of how much of an asset they are to San Francisco?
Yeah, it really can throw off a defense when you're just kind of used to setting up on D off of that right side throwing shoulder, and then you're maybe not anticipating, or you're having to remember that they are going to be stepping out with the other side. And it can definitely throw off a defense to have those lefties lurking out there.
Perquette with a big huck, looking for Crisp. She's got the height there on that matchup. She's alone right now, but finds Cogburn. And a quick dish to Kircher, but looks like the disc was just pushed down in that wind.
I ended up hitting her a little bit more in the shins than the chest.
Yeah, give go motion, Chang.
Oh, popped up in the wind.
Popped up, trying to hit Loop, I believe, but eaten up by the Wild. Crisp with a disc, up to Songer. Nice strike cut from Songer. Flick huck looking for Terpstra, and she's able to secure it. Yeah, on that second attempt.
I also love that as the disc was floating there, the edge is coming back toward the receivers, or the receiver and the defender. And both of them were fighting for that position on the inside. I think sometimes people will go behind and try to make this sky play from the back, but fighting for that inside position can be so much more dangerous. And I think that's what allows, defense did have a chance, forced them to tip it because they were in that inside space. And the offense really did have to stay focused and make this catch, both after it goes over the top and it's trailing away.
Yeah, Wong there with some really nice positioning. Really makes Terpstra have to think about that catch and execute it perfectly.
Right. Which is definitely not easy.
Yeah, another thing I was thinking about with the fact that San Francisco has multiple lefties is that, as a defender downfield, when you're playing defense on somebody downfield, but it's a lefty that has the disc, you have to kind of think about where you're positioning in a really different way. You have to take away different angles.
Yeah, also a really great point, the way you're kind of orbiting around your player, where those arounds are more dangerous. Yes.
The speed of the release, too, depending on if it's an around or inside.
An amazing pull.
Massive pull. I mean, that's a 35-yard pull. That must have been the biggest pull we've seen all weekend.
Yards, yeah. And up in the air, plenty of hang time.
Hammer with a big huck of their own.
Oh, I think that's Kendra Miller getting the D in there.
Yeah, nice block by Miller, finds Atwell.
And again, dropping off. I don't think that was their
I agree.
check, but very heads up. The Wild defense is definitely looking to get those Ds in the deep space and help each other out.
Atwell to Aragon. Finding Wallen, who's going to unleash a backhand of her own, looking for Molly Robbins, but that one just a little bit out of reach.
Yeah, the edge ended up trailing away from the receiver, so that was a little tough.
Yeah, but San Francisco has to work with a full 80 yards now, so I don't feel too bad about that turnover. At least it was a deep one. Near block from Wallen, but Maru secures the catch.
Punching for those Ds.
Ting over to Broom. Back to Ting, one of those lefty players we were just talking about. Yes. So deadly with the disc. Pugh, amazing catch there from Broom. Back to Pugh. And Ting, just working it with just the handlers.
Yeah,
haven't been able to find cutters very much yet.
They were drifting awful deep, but starting to come a little bit more shallow to offer these looks.
They found Saltzman, and finally a continuation cutter to hammer up to Maru. Just the cutters now working together.
Yeah,
Saltzman,
gaining some momentum downfield.
over to Ting. Hammer in the area. Robbins was hunting.
Testing Robbins there.
Hammer with a nice shot, trying to hit Broom. Just a little out of reach.
Yeah, not quite hitting that back half of the end zone, which can be tough. And now Wild has their chance to work at 80 yards.
Yeah, we've got Atwell picking up the disc, walking it up to the front of the end zone. Utah Wild cutters are so deep right now. And, you know, maybe it's intentional. Maybe they're just trying to run it through their handlers, but wow. Aragon.
I think especially the way the defense is very loose on the handlers, you can see the defenders are like 5 yards downfield of their handlers, the ones who are guarding the handlers. That can definitely make the cutters feel like they need to be deeper and can encourage that space between handlers and cutters.
Aragon, high stall.
Oh, Wallen is getting there.
Forced to hit it deep.
Yeah.
And there's actually a stall called at the throw from Aragon. A little bit of confusion downfield as to what's happening, but on the right of your screen, you'll see in just a second, Aragon's huck with Pugh guarding her was a stall call.
So if you know, retract your stall call here, would the outcome of the play be a turnover since Robbins spiked the disc before signaling?
So it would just be one throw continue. So it's a great question. It would be just one throw continuation. So if there was an overrule, it would remain with Wallen, who's the one that caught the goal. And, you know, with this rule set, something that is interesting is that a stall call, if it's contested, is an automatic ruling from the observer. And so we'll hear here in just a second what the call is. It's a contested stall, and so we're going to the observer to figure out. And the observer actually is not making a call. They're not making a ruling, so it will remain a contested stall. And I think that's something that is unique about Ultimate Frisbee, is that even though we have observers, there is space in the rule for them to say, hey, we're not sure, or hey, we don't have a definitive ruling here. And so it remains a contest. Whereas in other sports, if it's just a ref, the ruling is the ruling and there's nothing else that changes.
Yeah.
So Aragon back to Miller and another stall.
This time looks like no contest.
No contest there, so it will be a turnover.
With the stall 7 rule set in the WUL, what does the stall come in on after a contested stall?
I think it's 4 or 5. I'm blanking right now in this exact moment. But it's pretty high still.
Yes.
Chang over to Mims. A little bit of confusion at the front of the stack. Finds Pugh, and there we have it. Saltzman with the score, and that's a hold for San Francisco. What a turn of events. You know, if that stall call had been overturned, or if it had, you know, indeed just been a completed pass, Utah was off to the races, and that was potentially its first break in the game. Instead, San Francisco holds, and we're, you know, remain at 10-7, San Francisco over Utah.
Looks like our coach is over there chatting with the observers a little bit about the ruling. Which I know in Ultimate we tend to have a lot of conversations and really want to make sure that all of the appropriate calls are made. But I do like having the observers out there to be that unbiased third party that, you know, if there is some kind of feelings about the rules, let's go talk to the observers about it, as opposed to like creating animosity between the teams. You know, obviously not saying we should have animosity toward the observers, but I do like when they're out there to kind of provide that third-party perspective to keep it a little bit less personal between the teams.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's great about observers, and it's not even just about that buffer, to me it's that when you're a player, I'm sorry, but it's really hard to know if you, like, were in or out, or, you know, when the contact occurred. Things are happening at a speed, your heart rate is elevated, your adrenaline is rushing.
You're having a lot of feelings.
You're having a lot of feelings, and I think, like, having somebody else there that can help you figure out what happened is just so important.
Yeah, I agree.
Utah with a turn there. Songer trying to lead Perquette a little bit through the break in that zone. Ultimately a little too far. Munson picks up the disc. Win. Nice bobbled catch there. Back to Chang. Upline to Munson with a really nice curl cut. Really a lot of wrapping on the mark there by Terpstra.
And really good heads-up D there. Coming in and making that play.
Stoller with a block. She's still open, and Kircher finds her. Back to Kircher. Fakes the lefty backhand, instead goes to Songer.
Songer again coming from the front of the stack. That has been very useful for Wild.
Terpstra with a disc again, this time to Bigham.
Nice marking to kind of drop and create space to take away that throw to Kircher.
Terpstra.
Oh, someone's on the ground.
And then Cogburn. Cogburn just throwing it just in case there's no call, but it looks like Munson did get tripped up. Couldn't tell if that was a pick or a foul call necessarily. But the disc will go back at least to Cogburn. And curious here if Perquette will remain open or not. But here's another time when I think, you know, having the pre-stall is really beneficial, because it can kind of allow both teams to reset and not worry too much about, okay, was she 10 yards open? Was she 5 yards open? Like, let's just keep the game moving.
Exactly. And this is the case where, you know, sometimes even myself as a player, I'm like, no, you were right here, actually.
Yeah.
And it's just a waste of time. You're right.
So Utah will have the disc here. We've got Terpstra with the disc in hand.
Yeah, maybe it was a pick instead of a foul or a... Anyway, the players are getting back set, and the disc will go back to Terpstra.
Yeah, and as you'll notice, since we are in the last 2 minutes of the quarter, the clock stops when there are calls made on the field, and so we've got 1:53 left in this third quarter. And, you know, I love watching Utah's offense. I think that it's like very steady, very clean. But I think the flip side of that is that their offensive points take a lot of time, because they are just always trying to hit like the most open person, and they're being pretty patient and pretty conservative. And I'm curious to see, you know, will that strategy change as we get into the fourth quarter when they're down by 3 or when they're down by 2 if they score this one? You know, at what point do you start taking a bit more risk?
Yeah, and credit to the Falcons defense for, you know, really stifling some of those bigger looks and forcing them to maybe really have to be more sure with the shots they are taking.
Terpstra,
and, you know, even they're throwing a handful of passes and ending up with a turnover.
Yeah, Terpstra with that throw, you know, I think if you're a coach, you say, hey, why was that a backhand to the forehand side?
Yes.
And we could talk a little bit more about that later, but that one just a little too far in front of Songer, and San Francisco get a shot here at a break. We've got Wynn up to Munson, over to Wong, back to Munson, who airs out a big backhand. She's got a couple receivers. It goes over Mankoff's head, and resetting to try to find Mankoff once again, but that one just too far in front. That's a great example of, you know, just following the play.
Right.
I think that Munson was looking for Mankoff, and she wasn't even the one that ended up catching it. It ended up being Lure who caught the disc.
And then because both of them were down there, they had a shot in the end zone. You know, if it had only been one player going after it, might have been an even trickier situation.
Kircher to Stoller, bobbles a little bit. San Francisco gets another shot here. We've got Munson. Excuse me, that's Wong. To Win. Back to Chang.
Oh, that was some good pressure defense. You know, I think we could see the defender maybe thinking about trying to come through, but, you know, the offense had them totally sealed out. It wasn't going to be like a safe or a clean block, but just being tight forced that pressure and created the turnover. Oh.
And nice block for block there for Wong and Waller. I really like that. Fun matchup. And Munson is running to the disc, and what we hear there is a timeout call from San Francisco Falcons head coach Manisha Dariani. It's been a multi-turn point. There's 3 seconds left in the quarter.
And so a very important chance for Falcons to punch this one in. You know, probably getting a chance to play offense here without knowing that Utah won't have a chance after 3 seconds or a turnover. So really trying to take advantage to punch this one in at the end of the quarter.
Yeah, really tough point here for Utah Wild. You know, they had it literally on the doorstep, and instead there's, you know, not much of a chance here. And we'll see these two.
And you can see Wallen like holding up, really recognizing that it's not going to be the time to go in and get the D on the throw, but just causing pressure. And then the throw from Wild almost looked like it was thrown more to Wong.
Yeah, she almost catches it.
Yeah, kind of confused what the thrower was looking at, or maybe just misexecution. That happens.
Yeah, and that like I said, tough point for Utah Wild. They were on the doorstep for a hold, and instead there's 3 seconds left. Most likely, San Francisco will, you know, be the last team to be on offense for this quarter, and with a chance for a break to go up 11-7.
And with the timeout call, both teams can sub out their entire line if they want to, and noticing that there are many new players out there on the field now, especially Wild has like very clearly put out their D line here, trying to stop the Falcons from getting this score. You know, even if they don't end up having a chance to play offense, they really want to make sure that San Francisco Falcons don't get another point on the board this quarter.
Yeah, and we saw, you know, just a quick note, number 96, Patricia Anderson, who was not cleared up for this game. You saw her in the shot. Really important handler for San Francisco Falcons, really fun player to watch. She's unfortunately not playing today, but awesome to see her out there supporting her teammates. Ting with a disc.
And so time has expired. This will be the last possession of the quarter. Again, Falcons really trying to make it count, and Wild trying to stop them.
Ting and Salzman playing catch. Oh, and looking for Mims.
Looks like a little unfortunate contact there. The disc may have been kind of going over the head and out of play, but because of the contact, it's hard to know, and so it maybe rolled a foul.
Yeah, it looks like Sally Mims is from San Francisco is calling a foul, but this is a funny one also because it's so windy. It's so hard to know.
Did she have a chance to go catch it if she wasn't fouled? And I think in those cases where it's not clear one way or the other, you know, it will usually end up being ruled a foul. Well, it looks like no foul ruled by the observers.
No, sorry. I think that there was no call made is what I saw.
Oh, no call.
I think that's what I saw.
Got it. Yes, I think that you're right, but I sometimes do get confused because I think the signal for no call and the signal for observer ruling no foul is maybe similar.
It was no call.
We have some observers here helping us with the hand signals. No call was made on the play.
Yeah, great.
Which, again, I think totally reasonable, and, like, I think an example of how, like you were saying earlier, even though there are, like, observers who act sort of as refs, there is still the onus on the players to make those calls, and I don't know very many players in other sports that would say, you know, I'm going to say I didn't have a play on that, even though there was contact, so no foul.
Yeah. Lots of exciting action here. The end of the third quarter. We'll be right back to bring you fourth quarter. Stay tuned.
July from Nottingham, England. The World Flying Disc Federation's World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. Live all-access coverage, including semis and finals, exclusively at ultiworld.com.
Being a member of the Castaro Cellars Wine Club is truly a unique experience. Not only do members get access to our best wines, they become part of our extended family and play a huge role in the way we run our business and make our wines. Being a member is fun, exciting, and informative. We work very hard to make sure our club members receive our best wines in their shipments, along with detailed information from our owners, winemaking team, and tasting room staff. There's never a shortage of entertainment at Castoro, and our members are always kept in the loop and taken great care of. From member-only events to Whale Rock Music and Arts Festival, our club encourages you to live life to the fullest. We invite all to join, from the wine connoisseur to the casual wine drinker. For us, it's about sharing our passion and love for making damn fine wine. Join the club and join the family today.
Welcome back to the 2023 Western Ultimate League Championship Weekend third place game presented by Discraft. We're here in sunny Seattle. I'm Chena Tidcombe, joined by
Charlie Eide, and we love a sunny day in Seattle.
Yeah, and we've got a great game in front of us. San Francisco Falcons up 10 to Utah Wild, 7 points. We're in the fourth quarter right now, so 12 more minutes for these two teams to duke it out and figure out who is going to end their season with a dub.
And we see Wild over there on the sideline getting really amped up to play some defense starting this quarter. And, you know, San Francisco are up by 3 points. They're coming out here on offense, but knowing Utah Wild and their style of play, like, I don't think anyone thinks that this game is already decided.
Yeah, I think Utah Wild, you know, for better or for worse, has made it very exciting for fans. They're a fun team to watch and a fun team to follow, and they really they come out firing in the third and fourth quarter. I would say they're very much a team that brings energy and lives by that energy, and so I should think they'll continue to do that here. Big huck from Schumacher finds Kara Hammer with the disc, and then over to Ting. Nice catch there from Clarkson under pressure. Back to Ting, a near poach block.
Not in the end zone.
But not quite in, and ultimately Ting goes back to Schumacher for the score.
Schumacher making a heads-up catch there, having to adjust the direction they were moving and make that catch.
Yeah, and interestingly enough, the Utah Wild defender who had poached off to try to make the block, I think thought that Ting was in, and so kept running like off the field, and all of a sudden San Francisco had 7 players on offense playing against 6 defenders.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure if it was thinking they were in or just all the momentum is taking them just the wrong direction at that time, but yeah, the defender never returns and it leaves them an opening.
Nice hold there from San Francisco Falcons. Clean hold.
Clean
we love
hold.
to see that.
Only took like 30 seconds off the clock and secures them a 4-point lead.
All smiles there from Julia Ting. Has had a great game so far. Good stat line as well. Having a big impact for the San Francisco O-line. Laser of a pull from San Francisco. We've got Crisp picking up to Songer. A little bit of a flood play, trying to isolate Williams, but instead finding Terpstra around.
And I think it really is that FM defense. The mark coming around and making that a break throw is challenging some of these throwers. When it's seeming like it's going to be an open side continue and the mark comes around and just like that takes it away, the throwers are having a hard time hitting that.
Terpstra looking for Crisp. A nice switch made Crisp open, who's going for that break backhand.
And I was just going to say, I would like to see some cutters going deep for that swing. Sometimes it can be easier spacing to hit an away shot when you're catching that around pass and having to get it past the mark. And it was cool to see that.
And looks like there's a call there. Williams was trying to throw an around backhand. You'll see on the replay falling over, still trying to throw it, because you know, if it's a completed pass, then it's a score. So it's a little bit of, you know, an and one if you are familiar with basketball. In this case, not able to find Songer's hands, so Williams will keep the disc, looking for a reset, finding Terpstra. And a nice throw to space to Perquette, but commentators curse as that one was just out of reach. Utah Wild now is forced to play some defense.
Oh, checked it in
Munson,
5 yards into the end zone, but
yeah,
I guess that's okay.
I guess got confused a little bit by the lines. Big huck looking for Stepanitis. Not quite in bounds, still a few yards out, and finds win for the San Francisco Falcons.
Wow, another break.
Wow, beautiful throw. I love that
throw.
I believe that was Sam Luke, but we'll have to see on the replay who threw that big throw. you know, initially, you know, when it came off their hands, I wasn't sure who it was to because there's kind of no one down there, but it was such a nice high throw.
High throw, yes.
That Stepanidis was able to get under it.
I think sometimes it's like an underrated quality in a pass to just put it up in the air. And I think especially in this wind condition, if it's up in the air, we can still go catch it. And it's floating there for a bit and plenty of time to go run on and get it.
Yeah, and Stepanidis is a player who's really tall, and so putting things that are high are great. It works to her strengths in that situation.
Absolutely.
So break from San Francisco Falcons. They're really, you know, making their mark on this game. 12-7 lead now. Utah Wild's O-line still out there, trying to find that hold so they can get their D-line out on the field. Songer to Crisp, over to Kircher. Stanislawski. A wonderful throw to Staller, who makes a nice S-cut there. And a great hold for Utah Wild. They really needed that. You can see the sidelines clearing out and running onto the field to go give some high fives, give some energy to Utah, and we'll see Utah's D-line get a shot at getting the break.
And I like how we see the example of like a different shape on an away pass. That one, you know, didn't have as much height, but it was really just, you know, about shoulder high and kind of right out in front of the receiver to go and catch on. And just seeing the variety of skills from these throwers using all of their different tools in order to get these goals.
Yeah, now looking ahead, I know there's a game in front of us, but looking ahead, we have the championship game between Seattle Tempest and San Diego Super Bloom that's happening at 2 p.m. Pacific today. We hope you'll tune in for that one. Now, of course, Charlie, you and I are both from Seattle. But before we talk a little bit about the 2 o'clock game, we're gonna get a chance to see some highlights here from Stanislawski, who's had an impressive game so far. Assists and goals for sure. I mean, those are the ones that are more likely going to show up on this highlight package, but she's also done a really nice job of distributing the disc, being that first isolation cutter off the pole, and here's that throw you were just talking about.
Yes, and I really like the poise and like professionalism with which she plays, you know, catching the goal and just setting the disc down and moving on to the next. And you can tell that it has really good chemistry with some of these players. You know, a few of those moments were just like eye contact, you and me, the defense isn't looking, let's make this play. And I think that last goal was a good example of hitting that forehand fake and knowing that the receiver was going to turn and go for the backhand.
Maru over to Ting, San Francisco's offense moving here. Some nice inside windows here getting shot, and Hammer's throw to Saltzman. There's been some great moments of connection between Saltzman and Hammer. This time for a goal, other times it's just been simply cutter to cutter continuation, but really fun to watch those two play catch.
And another great throw, you know, that one, the forehand to that other side of the field in this end zone, and another kind of dart right through the gaps. We love to see that precision from these throwers. I think we'll get another look at it here, which will be exciting. Yeah, just seeing that tiny little window there and hitting it.
Yeah, and this is a moment where I typically think, you know, Broom is coming underneath and you're kind of skipping a pass to hit your receiver. And, you know, it was a nice catch by Saltzman and a nice throw by Hammer. You typically say
that can be risky.
That can be risky, right? You're kind of skipping a throw
yeah.
In order to make the goal. And the thing is with players that are so strong, like the ones we're seeing, you know, they kind of make it look easy, but that's actually quite hard to do.
Yeah, another one of those like soft rule breaks.
Yeah.
And, you know, just to keep talking about Hammer a little bit, I think, again, we've mentioned before, we saw her out there kind of holding space and like stepping into those windows like fluidly, not in a way that's, wow, hand block.
Great block by Stepanidis. Streaking deep now, but Chang elects to find Eliza Chang back to Miri Chang. Playing catch, just the two of them.
Oh, timeout.
A very
Again.
nice timeout call because that was getting so close to a stall. I felt like either a turnover was coming or a stall was coming. Not a ton of options for San Francisco, but nicely timed. Oh, we get to see this block once again. Williams trying to throw that backhand
to the forehand
side, and it gets blocked by Stepanidis. Great block. Going back to the 2 o'clock game between Seattle Tempest and San Diego Super Bloom, you know, what's something that you're looking forward to seeing from those two teams this afternoon?
You know, I think that it's going to be just both teams are so capable of making plays. Both teams have so many star players. I think it's going to be an exciting game to watch. I know that Tempest, you know, won last year, and so they are hungry to repeat. And I think, you know, Super Bloom is really trying to stop them from doing that. And the star power on both teams is just so exciting. And I'm excited to see the game.
Yeah, so many stars both sides. You know, obviously the MVP in the league, Kayla Helton from San Diego, was playing on that side. The coaching staff, they won the coaching, you know, staff of the year award. So there's a lot of standout players on that team. And then in Tempest, you know, something that's interesting is that they do run multiple lines deep. So each line is playing offensive and defense during a game. So hard to kind of pick out individuals necessarily, but San Diego is also an incredibly deep roster. You know, when I was commentating yesterday's game, I kept thinking to myself, like, oh, San Diego stacking this line to get the break, and then I was like, oh my gosh,
that's just their D line.
That's just their D line, and like, actually, they just have all these amazing players, and it doesn't matter. They're so great. Speaking of amazing players, great block by Shordahl, who's having themselves a game.
Yeah, stepping into that inside lane and finishing the play.
Yeah, really nice block. Big block.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, not able to find Wallen. And San Francisco gets the disc back. Block for block here. It's keeping it exciting in the fourth quarter. Maru looking for a reset. A little bit of confusion as to who she should be finding, but ultimately finds Broom. Trying to hit Mims.
I think it was a tight window. Other players kind of in the way a little bit, made it difficult to finish the play there.
Yeah, Molly Robbins there was guarding Mims, and I feel like that's a block that's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but big Huck here looking for Miller, and that one will connect. That's Shordahl to Miller, and that's the first Utah break that we've seen. Really nice shot from Shordahl.
Yes. Yeah, we liked that shot there. Another pass into this end zone. You know, that one had a little bit of height on it. Maybe at first not entirely sure who that receiver was intended, but I think Kendra Miller knew the whole time that she was going to track that down, going to attack that disc, sealing out the defender, and making the play.
Shordahl having a big impact on this game. You know, she's had two really important big blocks for the Utah Wild, and in this case also gets that assist. Really fun player to watch.
Yeah, and now it's really kind of coming down to the wire here for Wild, so it's time for them to get a break.
Yeah, and let's see what Utah can do. You know, it looks like they've put Kat Songer on this D-line to give a little bit of steadiness in the backfield if they do get the turn. Big pull from Utah Wild. Ting will be picking up the disc on that far sideline.
When you're the O player swinging over to play D-line, what's your mentality?
Your mentality is, I gotta get this one.
Yeah.
No, because literally, I mean, we talked a little bit about this in terms of that rotation, but it matters a ton from the coaching staff, because if you don't get the break, then you have to go out and play the next point. And, you know, over the course of the game, that could start to wear on you. And Songer, you know, is a fantastic player, but she's had a lot of points already so far, so something just to keep an eye on. And as a coaching staff, you do have to take risks, right? You're down 13-9. You're going to try to.
And, you know, there's only 6 minutes left in this game anyway. Yeah. It's like, you know what, Songer, you got 6 minutes left in you.
Yeah, like, we're going to play you, and, like, let's just try to make this work. Pick downfield for the Utah Wild. We've got Hunter with the disc.
I feel like there's some mentality on those D-lines. You know, they kind of, D-line people want to swing over and play O maybe a little bit more than O-liners want to swing over and play D. I'm not sure, though.
Yeah, big backhand there. Unfortunately, can't connect. So San Francisco has a shot.
Oh.
Has a shot again, and Aragon almost with a no-look block, but instead
almost opened up the throw on accident.
Yeah, Pugh with a disc. Another skip throw, looking for Schumacher, but Defensive Player of the Year, Molly Robbins, comes down with the block. Wow.
Yeah, she really, anticipated that coming and took advantage of that floating disc to go up and snag it first.
Norris
and now Wild really needing to punch in this break.
Kruzhnikova up to Aragon.
Big another floaty pass.
Around backhand. Almost caught the deflected throw. Schumacher rushes to pick up the disc immediately.
I was going to say, we knew Schumacher was going to just pick it up and start attacking. Oh, no.
And Pugh trying to throw a soft around backhand to Maru, but
Floating
that one just too far. Songer with a disc. Around to Aragon. Has Molly Robbins open, instead elects to go to Kruzhnikova. Back to Aragon.
Ooh.
A lot of contact,
a lot of contact on the mark and the foul called. I think in those cases, we were talking about this earlier, you mentioned the free throw. I think I like to try to throw it if I'm being fouled like that and take the free throw, but maybe too much contact to even get the disc off. So,
well, and if you don't have quite a receiver that you're ready to throw to as well, like I don't think Aragon had anyone to throw to. Yeah. So that's a little tough, but I agree. I like throwing it in that moment. Just off the fingertips of McCready, so San Francisco gets the disc back. 4 minutes left in this game. A near poach block from Norris, and instead Schumacher throws, trying to throw it to Broom, but another block from who else but Molly Robbins.
And Wild working really hard to get this break, but again, taking so much time.
Aragon, big backhand, trying to find Norris. Nicely tracked down by Pugh, gets the block. Ting over to Pugh, finds Maru. Clarkson. And I think if you're San Francisco, you can...
They can settle a little bit. Take some time.
Can settle a little bit, and you can throw away passes, but you're not rushed. I think you want the clock to keep running.
Yeah, I agree.
As many passes is fine with you. Utah with the disc. We have Aragon.
And same thing on I think another timeout is being called, this time by Wild.
I like that timeout call. Those cutters were drifting downfield, not giving the handlers a ton of options because they were so deep.
And maybe now we can sub in some more of those O-line players to try to punch in this break. And I think talking about, thinking maybe the Falcons could be taking a little bit more time on their offense. I think on defense, they could also be shading a little bit more underneath, really trying to take away those easier unders for Wild and forcing them to keep punching those deep shots that haven't really been landing. And even if they do end up scoring this point, you can just get back out there on your offense with a pretty secure lead.
Yeah, I like the idea of playing a little bit more front pocket, so playing underneath and allowing your matchup to try to attack deep.
Or it has been difficult for Wild when there's defenders between the handlers and the cutters. Trying to create that more space between them has made it difficult on Wild. I wonder if they'll implement any of that, or maybe just scope it back to their force middle.
Yeah, their force middle has been very effective. You got to say, San Francisco's force middle has been great. It's forced Utah to throw so many passes and to eat up the clock in a way that has not worked in Utah's favor so far. Kircher will be picking up the disc here. Looks like a little bit more of a standard offensive line for Utah.
Running a little flood play.
Isolating Perquette. And they hit her. Big backhand fake. I actually thought she threw that, but instead finds Kircher and now Williams on that far side. Up line to Kircher. Really nice throw from Williams and a nice grab from Kircher. Bigham.
And I like the way Kircher keeps the disc moving after not seeing an option downfield.
Terpstra Nice continuation from Stanislawski, who throws
Oh.
a big crossfield backhand trying to find Bigham, but not enough air underneath it, and instead win with the block. Wataoka picking up immediately.
Still a good field position for Wild. Like to see them clamp down here and try to get a block.
A little bit of a throw that kind of pops up in a strange angle.
Yeah, the front edge really caught some wind and went straight up in the air. I love that pass from Bigham, like way over to the other side so they can switch the attacking side of the stack from the sideline there, floating on a shelf so it's easy for Kircher to catch and then attack on the other side of the stack.
Kircher and Perquette, just playing catch. Haven't really been able to find a downfield receiver yet, but find one in Terpstra.
Oh, travel.
Travel called, but as you know, that does not stop play. So nice continuation there. Kircher to Perquette for the score. Really.
That was a nice grab.
Yeah, really needed there from Utah Wild. That was a break because, as you remember, the defensive line got the block. They subbed in the offensive line and then punched it in. This is an interesting moment, too. I think that there's a lot of almost danger in subbing in your O-line on a deep point, because then if the O-line doesn't, punch it in or score that goal, then they have to go again. They have to play again. These are things that I think as a coach are really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think sometimes at this point in the game, though, there's, a minute and a half left. And so to some of those players, when I'm coaching, I'm like, you good the rest of this game? Like, you might need to be out there the rest of this game. And I think, we all know those moments as players or as fans. And for some of them, it really does come down to gut check time at the end and using those legs to the very end.
Yeah, just a minute and a half left. And, if you're here watching, you might think, oh, this game is out of hand or it's done. But I think that's also some of the beauty in a timed game, is that as much as we think it's, over 3 points is really not all that much. A quick turn here and there, a quick punch. It's really on San Francisco right now to possess the disc and not have any quick turns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't need to be quick about scoring.
Yep.
Just possessing. Oh, but they'll take a deep shot anyway.
Yeah, they'll take it and hammer with a beautiful
very nice throw.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. And
up in the air, out in front, everything you want from a deep puck.
Yeah, and that one to Saltzman, I've said it before, they've had a couple of really nice connections between the two of them. Just as we were saying, hey, San Francisco doesn't have to score. It sure is nice to score, though, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, yeah, they didn't need to. They could take some time, but at the same time, punching in a quick one is always good for the offense. Oh, yeah, and we've seen a lot of great stuff from Hammer this game. We're going to take another look at some more of Kara Hammer's contributions today, and just seeing the field and understanding how to hold space and take space with her throws. It's been really cool to see. And, going deep herself at times as well. I think that was the pass we talked about earlier. She was kind of just in that space, allowing the throw to go up and trusting that she could go and get it. Yes, doing so great out there. We love ya.
Yeah, Hammer having a big impact on this game for sure. I feel like somebody that I think of as almost like a power cutter, which means that they can obviously create a lot of opportunities with their legs, but are so dangerous with the disc in their hands as well. I think that Hammer really emblematic of that. Big backhand from Stanislawski trying to find Stoller. I really like that look.
Yes, I also think that was a really nice look. It was out in front of the defense. And, Wild was in a position that they did need to score quickly. So taking advantage of that open receiver, I think, was the right decision.
Yeah, and Stoller almost had that one.
Yeah, right off her hands.
San Francisco on offense. Chang over to
I was surprised they didn't hit the far sideline here after that. They had the handler clearing up line and just a wide open receiver, but opted to stay on that half of the field instead.
Nice find to Wong there. Back to Chang. Trying to find.
Again, Wild needs to turn around here
Hancock.
quickly.
Yeah.
It's only 10 seconds left in this game.
Songer.
And I think they want to play another point, so try to punch it in. Oh, this will be the last point now.
Yeah, last possession. And a block from Munson to end the game. That's a win for San Francisco Falcons.
Yes, and really like finishing with an exclamation point, right after time expired, just hand block. No, you don't even get a chance to score one more point. Or I guess not quite a hand block, but gets a hand on the disc there for the block.
Yeah, nice big block there from Munson. Wow, what a fun game. Really love to watch San Francisco come out today and just put together a really well-rounded game. They played great person defense, they played great zone, they had some nice defensive adjustments, and they just seem to be hitting everything in stride.
Yes, absolutely. And, taking advantage early in the game to take like a couple clean holds, got the first break, and really just kept the pressure on. Again, I didn't really ever feel like the game was out of hand for Utah, but San Francisco taking control and finishing the game strong.
Yeah, we'll get a chance to see here the Discraft play of the game, and that is number 5, Ellie Shordahl, with the big layout block, punctuating that point there and having her mark all over this game. Really well-timed, very safe play, no contact with number 4, Julia Ting. Just gets up, walks away, no problem.
And I think also just really emblematic of the game style of Wild. So cool to see that is the Discraft play of the game, a big layout D from one of the Wild players, really showing us what they're known for.
Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us today. We're going to have the opportunity to hear from a player here in a moment. One of the cool things about this UltiWorld broadcast is that we have a sideline reporter who is able to give us insights from the sideline, and we get to hear from players directly. We're also going to get a chance to hear a little bit and look at the game stats from today's game to sort of see the key differences. And Charlie, when you're looking at this, is there anything that stands out to you or anything that you noticed that was a big difference between these two teams?
Well, I think just those key breaks from San Francisco, but at the same time, I think what does stand out to me is that, even still at the end of this game, like we talked about at halftime, a lot of these numbers aren't really that different, just only a difference of 2 between the break chances, only a difference of 3 between the total turnovers. Like this game did feel close. It did feel like both teams were really fighting for it the entire time, and I think, the stats go to show us that.
Yeah, very, very close game, and, the overall score was 14-10, obviously, but I think the difference between the breaks, 4 breaks for San Francisco, only 1 for Utah Wild, I think just goes to show that San Francisco was ready to execute. Like when they had those chances, they took advantage of them, and they really decided to put them away in a way that feels really unique and different than what Utah Wild was able to execute today.
Yes, I completely agree. Even their offense was a little bit less clean than the Falcons, and so translating a little bit to when their defense was playing offense as well, unable to fully take advantage of the opportunities they had for breaks.
Yeah, really fun opportunity today to see San Francisco, I think, put together a game that I feel is a little bit more emblematic of the play that they've been able to put together for this whole season. And I love to see, a team be able to end on a win and kind of see all those pieces come together. And if you're Utah Wild, I think, you leave this weekend feeling a little bit disappointed. You took some shots, but I think overall they played a little bit more of a conservative style. And I think that in this case, in this weekend, that didn't work out for them. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in a few moments, for a sideline interview.
July from Nottingham, England, the World Flying Disc Federation's World Under-24 Ultimate Championships. Live all-access coverage, including semis and finals, exclusively at ultiworld.com.
Thanks for sticking with us. We get to go down to the sideline. Leah Smith is going to get a chance to hear from Manisha Dariani, the head coach of the San Francisco Falcons.
San Francisco coach Slap. Slap, you just got third. How did you feel about that game?
I mean, so for us, this was a rematch. As you know, we had a very tight game against Utah very much earlier in the season, or mid-season, my apologies, where Utah beat us by 1. And let me tell you, when we saw the matchups and we saw, and don't be wrong, we wanted to win our semi. We wanted to win that semi. But when we knew we got to play Utah, I got to tell you, this team was so fired up, and we were ready, and we knew the things that we had to improve on from both yesterday and the last time we saw Utah. And as a coach, I got to tell you, it's so wonderful to see your players adapt the changes that you've asked them to do and execute on the field.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to describe this rematch. Do you have any other highlights from this entire Falcons season?
Gosh, there's just so many. I mean, like, you know, we've been joking a lot about it. My team has been talking about how they didn't win any of the awards or weren't nominated for any of the awards. But holistically, that really works both within the mantra of what I wanted to build and for this team, which is that everyone contributes. And that's exactly what I said to them at the end of this. This was very much a team win, and they should celebrate it, which I hope they do.
Congratulations. And one last comment.
Well,
so how are you feeling about next season? What are you going to focus on? Any growth, or are you just going to celebrate right now and focus on the future later?
I think we have to celebrate now. This has been both an exciting season. I know it's not a long season, but I got to tell you, there's just a lot that you have to do. And so I want to give these players an opportunity to celebrate, have some fun, and then get to watch the first place game, which is coming at you at 2 o'clock, y'all, 2 o'clock Pacific. I will be on the mic with Charlie Mercer. See you then.
Yeah, great job, Slap. Congrats on the win and congrats on third place. I'm going to throw it back to Q and Charlie. Thanks so much.
Wow, really fun to hear from Coach Manisha Dariani. Big win for San Francisco Falcons. You know, something that she said that really stuck out to me was really that this was a team win. So many contributions up and down the roster.
Yes. Yeah, so cool to see the whole team contributing, and you could really see the trajectory of their season, like getting better and better, you know, having highs and lows throughout the season, but then being able to punch it in here for this last game of their season, getting a win, and you can tell this team is very proud of a third place finish and really excited for the future. Everyone putting plays on the board, this hand block finished by a teammate, great to see.
Yeah, really impressive game here from San Francisco. Great fight by Utah Wild, and thank you so much for joining us for this third place game. We really hope that you'll stick around for the 2 o'clock championship game between Seattle Tempest and San Diego Super Bloom. Thanks for joining us. See you soon.